أنتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم اجعلنا دعاة إليك وإلى رسولك. اللهم صل على سيدنا وشفيعنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد مبارك وسلم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أفمن زين له سوء عمله فأراه حسنا فإن الله يضل من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء فلا تذهب نفسك عليهم حسرات إن الله عليم بما يصنعون. صدق الله وصدق رسوله الكريم ونحن ذلك من الشاهدين. وبعد إن الحمد لله تعالى. All praise and all glory is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity He has blessed us today, Yawm al-Jumu'ah, to be in the house of Allah, to be present for the indar and the basharat, the warnings and the glad tidings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the barakah and the blessings on this special day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite mercy describes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the situation and the circumstances when you would see the level of evil actions that would have worried the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, today the entire community and the country is talking about crime. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed this situation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he addressed this so that we ourselves will understand from the Quran, when we see of these types of actions and behaviors and attitudes and immorality, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directs the hearts of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He directs the heart of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in the condition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the grief that he was going through. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَمَنْ زُيِّنَ لَهُ سُوءُ عَمَلِهِ فَأَرَاهُ حَسَنًا. Do you not see, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, of such person whom his evil, he puts it as an embellishment. He decorates this evil, that the evil no longer looks as what? Evil. The wrong no longer looks like something that is wrong. It is what society has allowed to grow. Things that we would say that is totally not permissible, society has decorated this and say it is what? Good. And when something that Allah has said is not good, and we make it good, in other words, we make the minds of the people and those who love such an action to feel and though it is good, then the results of such an action will only be what that action will benefit from, or gain from it, or loss from it. And therefore, the actions that we see of immorality and the actions that we see of which we see today in our society, that many people are complaining of, it started from a root. Such a root, إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ, that it has a desire to commit what? Sin, this nafs. But Allah is saying that this condition is not only just committing the sin, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this in the Quran so that we will understand even more what Allah is saying. He says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ. And Allah allows them to go into misguidance. يُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ. What is the misguidance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about here? That He allows them to think to themselves that what they are upon and what they are doing is the right thing. And what is good seems to others and make it look as though it is what? Wrong. So the good thing now comes and look as though it is wrong before their eyes. So in the minds of these people, it is not just their heart that is in a state of soup, but their mind is also in a state. That they are also in a condition that they are perverted in their thoughts and in their thinking. As opposed to the one whom Allah has given guidance. And they would always say, those who have Iman, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. Oh Allah, we have wronged ourselves. That person, the actions may be perverted, but in his mind he is conscious of the wrong that is done. In other words, Allah allows for the believer that he does not sit well with a wrong action. He always has the intention and the desire for correction of that wrong. So Allah makes that condition and shows us in the Quran that He, Allah Rabbul Izzah, Yahdi man yasha. He guides whoever He wants because He makes that condition in their heart that they are seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the one who Allah allows to go in dalalat, their mind become perverted, their emotions, their feelings, their behavior is all in one. And they remain in that state. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, for this condition, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يَضِلُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. He leaves them in this condition. فَلَا تَضْحَبْ. O Messenger of Allah, do not carry yourself forward. Do not go forward in thinking to yourself, نَفْسُكَ عَلَى حَسَرَاتٍ, upon this pain and this destruction to your own self. Now sometimes we worry about the condition of people, but people themselves, they are in that state. They themselves have put themselves in this condition. Because they have turned away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. And Allah is quite aware of everything that is being done by everyone. Allah knows the action of everyone. And therefore if the believer wrongs and he makes tawbah, then Allah forgives. But if the one who does not have Iman and continues to think that the dalalat is the right way, then it's going to lead to that person's destruction. And when that destruction spreads, it spreads not only to him but to other people. And those who are involved in such an action, they also reap from that same benefit, that same loss. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draws the attention to us. And when we look at the wider picture of the world, only recently a couple of studies have shown, and we could see for ourselves in our own society and imagine what we are really talking about here. In the world, we are about 2 billion Muslims. And the remaining 5 are the people of the left. And 2 billion are the people on the right. And the 2 billion of people who are on the right, meaning the Ashabul Yameen, people who will be given their book of deeds in their right hand, they are the people whose actions, they are such that they are conscious of their actions. And they are aware of what they really want to do in life. And they are conscious that they really want their book of deeds on the day of judgment to be in their right hand. And no person who is Ashabul Yameen will do the actions of the people of Ashabul Shimal, the people of the left hand, and think that that deed will end up in the right hand. It cannot happen. And the condition of the people of the left, their actions in the world is translated into the economic actions and behavior. Don't think it's only by an action, but it's how they behave and how they spend their wealth as well. And the way they will behave and spend their wealth, we must consider it because we live in that environment, so we have to know what we are talking about. If we have 5 billion people in such an action, what are the actions that they're involved in and they're spending and they're involving their life in? What portion of the wealth of the world that is accumulated by them that is utilized for this type of behavior? So if we look at economics and business and let's say the weapons that they show that they spend on weapons in the world to equip various countries, just about 100 billion. And when it comes to drugs and prostitution, it's about 1,600 billion. And the list goes on and on. In the direction of gambling and in other types of activities of immorality, it goes in the close to 1800 billion. And in real trade, it is the smaller portion. So most of their wealth is spent on actions that are dalala, that Allah speaks about. So a person in that life, their wealth has been consumed in something that is what? Wrong. And then the whole entire world is involved in such an action. And we know that the evils of such actions involve the direct result of so many things, such as murders, such as stealing, such as what we see amongst people who would go and take away from each other without any respect for any other person. No value for human life. All of these actions represents itself in the way they would spend their wealth. And who are the ones who are away from this and should be away from this? Is the 2 billion Muslims. And they face the most economic challenge and the most difficult time, because we are faced with a situation that sometimes when we see our children amongst this group of people that we put them before, then we tell ourselves, we quarrel with them and we say different things to them, but then we don't know what pressure that they are also facing. We are putting them before an elephant that is built with sins, built around an action and behavior that is going to destroy everything in its sight. And when we are seeing actions amongst them, is because we are feeding them to this. The danger, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, is that we live in this environment without considering how much of a danger we ourselves are in. And we know of the temptations and the situations that are before us, far less for our children and our families. And this environment, it looks good. It makes itself feel as though it is attractive to us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed through the saying of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that this dunya is jannatul kafir. It is really a beauty and a paradise for the unbelievers, because they enjoy everything without consideration of what is halal, of what are the restrictions that Allah has put. So everything that Allah has made prohibited, they make it to themselves okay, with no thinking. And this place is Sijnul Mu'min, a prison for the believers, because of the level of difficulties that we face in the environment that we are in. And therefore we have to carefully consider, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, that we don't think to ourselves that we are going through challenges and difficulties without Allah knowing this. But Allah explains this to us, that this is the place that Allah has given guidance, and those who will take this guidance, their life will be in a state of that which is a challenge for the obedience of Allah. Don't think we'll have iman and will not be tested and tried by this iman, because of the environment that is going to offer itself to us by such people around us who are also involved in such evil, that they themselves are in the path that is leading towards the Jahannam. This, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to us in the Quran, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, is that we have to become conscious and aware of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really wants for us. And Allah mentions in the Quran, Inna ibadi, certainly my servants, laysa laka alayhim sultan. That for my real servants, there will be no one who has power over them. For the real servants of Allah, there will be no one with power over them, إِلَّا مَنِ اتَّبَعَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ, except for those who choose to follow those who have gone in error. Those who have followed the path of the people of the left hand, accepting those who have fallen to the left, those who have taken the path of dalalah. But those who have taken iman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Inna ibadi, certainly my servant, laysa laka alayhim sultan, none will have power over him. This is the word of Allah. This is the promise of Allah. But the struggle to attain this is what our consciousness should be at all times. How do we maintain the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection be with us? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the strength that the shaitan will not become the challenge that will be with the shaitan, we will be able to overpower this. But it only comes when the servant of Allah becomes close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this point and this difficulty that we face in our society, and what we see that people are complaining about, and every day it is branded all over. You look at the newspapers, you see it on the WhatsApp, you see it on every type of media that you have outside social media. As a murder would happen, in minutes everybody knows in the entire country. Robbery happened, we know it one time. And what does it do to us? What benefit it gains to us? Only to bring to ourselves the level of what? Fear. The level of that concern that we become, that we can't even feel that we are safe wherever we go. But who is our protector? It is Allah. Who is our guide? It is Allah. Who safeguards our circumstances? It is Allah. He is our Sultan. And none can protect and none can have power over us, except that the believer goes in the direction of those who are on the left. And we must always remember this, that even when we perform our salah 5 times a day, we are guaranteed of the protection of Allah. This must be in our yaqeen and our prayer. Our du'as should be that this prayer is a means of our sustenance, this prayer is a means of our protection. And that we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this protection. This is the yaqeen that we derive out of our prayer, out of our salah. And we make dua for everyone who is in jama'ah and who is not in jama'ah, but they are performing their prayer, and who are not. We make dua that Allah give their hearts guidance, that they can continue to pray, so that our ummah becomes strong. In our time that we live, the best of advice is the advice that Allah has given, because it is our guidance, it is our protection. And Allah has shown us the root of the hearts of the people who are on the right, and the hearts of the people who are on the left, and the behavior and the way of they spend their wealth and their attitude towards each other. We need to consider this carefully. It is not just about complaining, it is about understanding what Allah is showing to us. And it is much more than building walls and fences and burglar proofs. But it is within the hearts of the believer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given its strength and protection. It is within our hearts that Allah has given us the strength and protection, that we will seek from Allah this protection. We will seek from Allah the guidance, that we will be able to support and help others to come out of the situation that they are in. If we have to do anything to make a change in our society, we have to change ourselves for a better position. And we have to support by the means of whatever dawah, whatever we can do that is good, to encourage others to be good. And bring people to Islam. That's their only success. Otherwise, remaining on dalalat is not going to help anything. If the dalalat continue to increase and the people continue to increase on the left, then what is going to be the condition? And if the Muslims start to fall like the practices of the people of the left, just remember that the deeds of the left can never go in the hand. That is the yameen, the right hand. So if we think of our actions, make sure that the actions of the right. May Allah protect us. May Allah give us the understanding of these ayats of Quran. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength and ability to strive upon this deen for the protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sadaq Allah wa sadaqa Rasulul Kareem wa akhiru alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.